Welcome to the Manny Arango Ministries YouTube channel. So excited that you decided to click on this video. I bet you clicked on this video because you saw this buzzword called balance. That's right. Today we're going to talk about balance, and I've got a pretty controversial perspective when it comes to balance. I'm going to be sharing it today. Just going to go ahead and give you a warning right up at the front, all right? I am an extreme individual. I've got a pretty extreme personality, and so I naturally don't even like the word balance, all right? So I'm totally gonna give you my opinion today. Gonna try to back it up with some proof, with some facts, with a couple of Bible verses. I think that balance is a word that gets thrown around a lot in leadership circles. I cannot count how many times I'm on a leadership Q&A or I'm just getting questions in my direct messages about how to achieve balance in your life. And so I'm going to talk about balance today, but before we jump into the content, I want to make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. Also, I want to really ask you to leave us some comments. Let's have a discussion. If you disagree with me, let me know. If you agree with me, let me know. The point is not just to put out content, but to form community here on YouTube. And so I'm just adding my voice to the conversation. I really do want you to leave some comments. We're a young channel, and so comments and subscriptions, that helps a lot, all right? We're trying to get our subscriber count up, trying to get comments and engagement up. That would help so much. You have no idea. So let's jump into today's content. Here we go. Let's get the cat out of the bag. I get this question so much. How do you achieve balance? Hey, how do we get balance? It seems like, there's just a lot of things to do. How do we live a balanced lifestyle? So here we go. I don't believe in balance when it comes to the short term. So I don't think that balance can be really achieved or even quantified with short-term increments of time. I do think that it's possible to achieve balance over the course of your life or over the course of a couple of years of your life. It's so funny because recently a college-age student came up to me and said, he asked me a question about balance. He said, Pastor Manny, just trying to balance everything, just kind of want to live a balanced life. How do I balance everything? And I said, this is not the season for balance. What are you talking about? You're a college student. Your whole life should be dedicated to studying and learning and self-development and reading and research. What? You're in a season that's not defined by balance. You're in a season that's actually defined by an extreme. So let me teach you kind of what I believe is a biblical principle. And this is, you could ask my wife. I mean, I don't know how you'd ask her, but you could contact my wife, I guess, on Instagram. I promise you, she would tell you that I was not a balanced college student. When I was in college, I had a 4-year full-ride scholarship, and my family, I grew up very poor. My family cannot afford to send me to college, and so I was in school to do one thing, and one thing only. Get good grades, especially in my major, learn everything I could so that the next 50, 60 years of my life could be set up for success. That's what I was in college to do. I was not in college to make friends. I was not in college to go party. I was not in college to have fun. This is not what I was there to do. And I think that creating this picture that your life should be balanced actually creates more harm than it does good. Because I was in college not for a balanced lifestyle. I was in college to dedicate all of my time and all of my energy into doing one thing. I want to help you with this because the Bible says this about Joseph, that Joseph is operating under the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, and Joseph says this to Pharaoh. He says, hey, you're going to have 7 years of plenty, and you're going to use those 7 years of plenty, and you're going to store up, because after the 7 years of plenty, there are going to be 7 years of lack, 7 years of famine. And wisdom would dictate that life is not balanced. 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine, that's not a balanced life. that's a season of plenty and a season of famine. So I think my job is not to live a balanced life, it's to live a life based on the season I'm in. And the season is probably going to be a season of an extreme. Think about that. 7 years of one extreme and then 7 years of a totally different extreme. Your 4 years of college should be 4 years of you living an extreme lifestyle. I mean, what other group of people just kind of doesn't have to have a job? You know, all you got to do is go to class. I mean, good Lord God. I mean, these are 4 years that should be lived, and you should take advantage of the fact that no one's really like requiring that you live some balanced lifestyle. You don't have a wife to take care of. You don't have kids. What balance are you talking about? Get yourself into the library and read until your eyes fall out. I think that trying to live a balanced life at 18 or 19 is just kind of ridiculous. I actually think that instead of living a balanced life, you need to think about your life in terms of seasons. Am I living a seasoned life? And more importantly, what season am I in? There's a verse that I think is going to help us a lot. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Okay, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant, a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, I don't know what that means, and a time to gather them. If you're into throwing stones and gathering them, there you go, that's your verse. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 5. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. I think that the more important question then, am I living a balanced life, is what is it time for right now? What is it time for right now? I remember last year in 2019, me and my wife came up with an incredible list of goals. I was going to get my master's degree. We were going to purchase our first home. I was going to do a certain amount of speaking engagements. It was going to be my last year as a salaried staff member at our church. I mean, we were like shooting for the stars, okay? And so guess what, ladies and gentlemen? 2019 was not a balanced year. I didn't go on vacation in 2019. Didn't take a lot of days off in 2019 because I'm not looking for balance in the short term. But if I were to take 2016, 17, 18, and 19 and then measure them up against 2020, 2021, 2022, 2024, I did an extreme in one season so that I could live a different extreme in a different season. I want to go on 2-week vacations, which is what I just recently did. 2019, I hustled and I put the pedal to the metal, and in 2020, I did a 14-day vacation in Barbados, didn't blink an eye, paid for the whole thing in cash. Why? Because in 2019, I realized that I was living in a season of plenty, and that, you know what? If I'm wise, I'll store up and I'll prepare for the seasons of famine that are gonna come up. They're inevitable. So the question is not, can I achieve balance in the short term? The question is this, can I achieve balance in the long term? Right now, me and my wife, we don't have children, which affords us certain opportunities that my friends that have children just cannot really take advantage of. You need to really ask yourself the question, am I in a college season? Am I in a young adult season? Am I in the young professional season? Am I in the newly married season where I really do need to focus on my husband or focus on my wife? Am I in the season where I'm creating generational wealth for my children's children's children? Am I in a season where I've got small kids? What season am I in? There's a time for everything under the sun. And things may not be balanced if you judge it right now. But when you balance it out, see, that's where balance comes in. If I take 2019 and I put it on a scale, and then I put 2020 on a scale, I would go, oh wow, that's balance. If I were to take 7 years of famine and then balance it out with 7 years of plenty, that's balance. Which means it took 14 years for the Egyptians to see balance, over that region of the world to see balance. Joseph wasn't living in week-to-week balance, or month-to-month balance, or year-to-year balance. Nope. One season of an extreme was balanced by another season of an extreme, which means that you've got to figure out which season you're in, and are you living according to that season? Because you want to capitalize on the season you are in. I wanted to say this perfectly. Here we go. The opportunities of a lifetime are only available for the lifetime of that opportunity. There are certain opportunities that you have to seize right now while you're in college. There's certain opportunities, if this is your first year in marriage, if you just got married, there's certain opportunities you gotta seize right now, because you're not gonna get this time back. If you've got a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, or maybe your kid is going to prom for the first time, see, that's a season that you have to seize, which means you may not work that hard based on the season that you're in, but that's okay. It's balanced because you worked hard in the previous season so that you can enjoy this season. I think we're not trying to live a balanced life. We're not trying to live in balanced days or balanced moments. We're actually trying to live a balanced life. And here's one more verse that I want to share with you. Genesis chapter 49, verse 27, right? So we talked about Joseph and the wisdom that he gave to Pharaoh, which obviously worked, okay? Which is also an economic principle, because even during an economic downturn, Joseph planned for the 7 years of plenty so that they made money during a famine. Let's go, Joseph. Second, we've got Ecclesiastes. Third, we're going to do a third verse. Whenever I say anything controversial, I always want to make sure that I've got some scripture to back it up. Genesis chapter 49, verse 27. It says this: Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning, he devours his prey. In the evening, he divides the plunder. In the morning, he devours the prey. And in the evening, he divides the plunder. See, there is no plunder to divide if there was no prey that was devoured. And so devouring happens in one season. Hey, listen up. If you're 18, 19, 20, 21, with no kids and no wife and no real bills yet and no debt, go to school. Go to school. Hustle. This is not the time to go to college parties. It's not the time to drink your life away. This is not the time for Netflix. This is the time to hustle, because you want to devour the morning so that you can what? Divide the spoils, divide the plunder at night. Certain things you don't want to do when you're 40. You don't want to do them when you're 50. When I'm 40, I want to be chilling somewhere on a beach. Why? Because I hustled in one season so that I could reap the rewards in a different season. So right now, my life may look extreme. But you know what? I made a promise to my wife. I actually have made several promises to my wife. I said, hey, guess what, babe? If you just stick with me right now, while we're hustling, grinding, starting our own business, being self-employed, buying property, if you stick with me now, I promise you're not going to want for anything when we're in our 40s, right? We want to think about our life in decades, not days. Sometimes if you look at a day, you spent your whole day working, or your whole day studying, or your whole day resting or relaxing. Whatever you did in that course of a day, the question is not, was it balanced? The question is, was it in line with the season you are in? Because the worst thing in the world is to try to divide the plunder when you have not devoured your prey. I hope that this is a great leadership lesson, even maybe a lifestyle lesson. There were certain seasons while I was the youth pastor when we were in conference mode. Our lives were not balanced when we were 3 months away from a conference. Our lives weren't balanced at all, but I believe in this. If you work hard, you play hard. Every year after conference, we would go. And then we'd go to Vegas. We'd go have fun. We'd go do something great. Now, I think this. It's not about whether or not your days are balanced. It's about whether or not your decades are balanced. And right now, things may not be balanced. And let me help you get some weight off your shoulders. That's fine. It's fine. It's okay if things aren't balanced right now. It's all right. If you got young kids, okay, your profession may be suffering right now. But it's all right. These are years you're never going to get back. And they're going to fly by. Just enjoy the season you're in. And always know this, that if you add up 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years of your life, if those 90 years looked balanced, then guess what? We did a great job. But 2020 may not look balanced. And that's all right. You got to be in agreement with your spouse. You've got to know what season you're in. You got to communicate really, really effectively. And you've got to let everyone who's following you know exactly which season we are all in and why we're hustling the way we're hustling. My pastor says this: anything is temporary. Anything is tolerable as long as it's temporary. Anything is tolerable as long as it's temporary. And so, things may be out of balance right now, but that's all right, as long as it's temporary. Now, if you try to keep the same pace for 3 decades of life, you're gonna die, and that's just that, all right? So, I believe in Sabbath, I believe in rest, but I believe in like extreme Sabbath and extreme rest. So, I don't wanna like have some cheap little vacation. Nah. If we can't go big, let's just stay home, all right? So, I want to be an extremely successful person so that I can do exactly what I want to do when it comes time to chill and relax. I believe in Sabbath, I believe in rest, but I don't believe that balance can be achieved in a day or a week or a month or even in a year. Balance is a long-term thing, and as long as you're achieving balance in the long term, I think you're good to go. Hey, I hope this video was really, really helpful to you as a leader, to you as a person. Maybe watch this with your spouse. Hey, this one was meant to be controversial. I know everybody's not going to agree with me. That's amazing. That's fine. If you disagree, let me know in the comments because, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, all right? Subscribe to the channel, especially if you've been loving the content. Tell a friend. All right, talk about our YouTube channel on your social media. That would help us a lot. And leave us a comment. Love you. See you next week.